everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of Bill Has Opinions, the Gen X Problem with the Drinking Show. I am Laura Lavoie, of course, and I am joined with Bill Perkins, who has opinions.
Hi there. Could you not find a picture of Noel Felding wearing something a little more goth?
not from Great British Baking Show.
No,
My favorite game from Great Britain, well, actually, my favorite game from the last couple of years that I would like to start on the internet is it Noel Fielding from Great British Baking Show, or is it David Rose from Schitt's Creek? Just post like their sweaters.
Just sweaters. I got you.
Sweaters.
Yeah, I can dig that. Yeah, absolutely. Like which sweater is? Yeah, who's wearing this sweater? I got you.
What sweater is the sweater? The new season of Great British Baking Show dropped, and in the very first episode, he's wearing a sweater with bright pink smiley faces all over it.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
He's got some interesting taste, that guy.
And that's why we love him. But welcome to the show, as always, viewer and Bill and everybody who might be watching later. If you just randomly find us.
We have a single viewer right now. All right, great.
So how are you? I know that you've been on like fancy vacation time.
Fancy vacation? No, well, not really, because I don't have any vacation time really. So my wife is off. Well, last week she was off because they actually take a little break after Labor Day because that's a big weekend, and then they take off. And then we were supposed to be actually there tonight because she's supposed to be working, but over the weekend one of her employees called in with the thing.
Oh yeah.
So they're closed until Thursday, and until everybody gets the old and then so anywho that afford but when life hands you lemons, right, you make lemons, so it's more vacation days, I guess.
Yep.
So we had the lake house because she's usually off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I'm off on the weekends. So we just do this crazy thing where because I can work from home, I work from wherever home is at the time, right? Which is
sure.
Great. It's one of the good things about my job. And so we're working from the lake today, or I'm working from the lake. She's not working. So yeah, we're back at the lake today, and here we go. I'm in this plain white room, and I was going to hang a painting behind me, but there's no nails in the wall on which to hang. I was just going to move a painting from the other side of the house.
Right.
I realized there were no nails in the wall, and I was like, well, I'm not going to put a nail in the wall to move a painting, so I'm still in a white room.
That's okay.
Sadly, this is the only room in the house actually that has no art in it. It's weird. I get the impression. So this is funny that Airbnbs are funny because they usually have this like 90% of them. You go in them and all the art is that word art shit. It's just like relax and like live, laugh, love, and all that nonsense, And this one actually is full of Goodwill portraiture, not landscape. Sorry, Goodwill landscapes. Seascapes. It's all nautical artwork from Goodwill all through the house, except for this room has no. I guess he probably hasn't found it yet. Like he's not done. And the whole house is also decorated with Goodwill antique furniture. Like 1970s Broyhill collection.
Right. Yeah, the Goodwill chic is we stayed at an Airbnb last summer. That was all. It was very Goodwill chic. Like, right.
So
like modern grandma.
Kind of interesting. I get a kick out of it, the way people do their Airbnbs, But and here's a funny anecdote while we're off the topic. You can roll that beautiful bean footage, by the way.
Okay. Okay, hold on. You made me laugh and I couldn't get to it. Are we doing this one? Which one are we doing here? Off topic, are we?
Yeah, off topic, yes.
All right.
Anyway. I was gonna say, so
It's only funny to us. It's not even funny to the people
out. But I was like, you might as well. We haven't used that graphic in 2 weeks or something. Anyway, no, my wife. I was telling Laura before the show. My wife acquired a Glowforge, and one of the things we've jokingly said we might do is we might make some faux word art. We might like just make stuff that says like, I don't know, like suck a dick or whatever. But and then bring it when we go to Airbnbs and like leave it and
replay. Yeah, just put it up in the middle where nobody can.
Just put it on a shelf somewhere, and see how long it takes somebody to find it. It's just like it says fart, but in a scribbly font.
Right.
And then you just leave it there, and I don't know, because it's just the crazy decor in these places is always funny. Out of it.
I think that is an excellent idea. Like the people that I've seen this on the internet a few times, like somebody changed all of their family pictures in the house with pictures of Nicolas Cage. Like just throughout, like they would do one at a time and like over the course of a year, and then eventually they were all Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And like the family didn't notice.
That's funny. Yeah. I've thought about that too. And also, I'm always the kind of person who's like, when you go to like a beach house, I don't notice it as much in regular Airbnbs, but in beach houses, they always have a bookshelf full of books that you can read, peruse, whatever. And I'm always like, I don't want to leave like, the Kama Sutra or Joy of Sex or something or the Necronomicon or something,
right?
Something saucy on the shelf for the next people to see. Anyway, likewise, I also have the same thought with those public, the little libraries that are on the corner. I'm always I'm always wanting to junk those things up with subversive books.
Hey, you never know. And in the case of those, you never know. Somebody might need that.
Yeah, they might be like, oh shit, dog, the Necronomicon. Yeah, I've been meaning to raise the dead. Fuck yes. This is pertinent to my interests.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. So to get us a little bit more back on track, what you drinking there?
Oh, sorry. This is the Clawhammer from Highland Brewing. That's what I'm starting with this evening. I'm gonna round it out in a minute when I finish this one with Southern Tier's Pumpkin.
Ooh,
pumpkin beer, and it's the first pumpkin beer of the season for me. I mean, I'm sure some people probably start earlier, but I kind of wait till late September to say, okay, now it's pumpkin time.
Me too. In fact, I was telling you before the show that I was trying to get some pumpkin beer today, and I was denied that pumpkin beer. They were out of it because I placed an order for my groceries, and they called me to let me know about substitutions. They said they were out of the Foothills pumpkin beer, but they had the Foothills Oktoberfest, and I'm like, well, okay, I'll take that. So that is what I'm drinking.
I don't know if I've had the Foothills Oktoberfest before.
It's not bad.
I'm curious because I can't remember what they've got, a beer that they always have at the Ren Fair that I really like. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a golden ale or something. I don't know.
Speaking of Ren Fairs, that's next week's topic.
Hey, all right.
Look at that.
Means we know what next week's topic is.
This time I do. Only because I just sent you the schedule like 2 days ago. So but yes, because 'tis the season in North Carolina. The Renaissance Festival starts like next weekend.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to try to go. I won't tell this story today because it's more pertinent next week. But we are going to try to go at some point.
Well, we're planning to go twice, I think. So maybe we should coordinate.
We should do that. We tried to do that one other time. Again, conversation for next week. So let's not talk about that. So instead, let's talk about today's actual subject, shall we?
Yeah.
So today we're talking about reality television.
Oh man.
Which encompasses a lot of things. And we talked about this as we were planning for the show. Like it encompasses everything from like the trash TV, like the Kardashians and the Real Housewives, to like competition television, like The Amazing Race, or like talent competitions, like America's Got Talent, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So why don't you start us off? Kick us off with your monologue, if you will.
Yeah. So I'm trying to because I've thought a lot about trying to figure out, it's funny with genres. You're always trying to figure out what is in this genre, what isn't, like our game shows, reality TV. I mean, in a way,
I suppose.
Is Jerry Springer?
I think that's reality show adjacent.
Yeah. Okay. So that but anyway, I'm trying to think where do I really come into the picture? I really have to say, I think my biggest. Okay, I remember this happened. It was a Saturday in 1995. Okay, and I had every intention of cleaning up my apartment and going out and doing something that afternoon. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I was going to leave the apartment and go do something else as soon as I cleaned the apartment up. But while I was cleaning the apartment, for noise, I put on MTV, and they were running a marathon of fucking Real World, right? It was season 2 is what I got hooked on, right? So I'm cleaning the house up, and that takes about 3 hours. And by the third hour, I'm caught, right? I'm stuck in this whole thing, and I'm trying to leave. I got to think maybe I want to leave the house and go do something else. Next thing I fucking know, it's 9:00 at night. I've been sitting here the whole day watching this bullshit unfold in front of me.
Yeah, I do know. Actually, I know it's very specific.
Stop being nice and start being real, I guess.
True story. Yes.
Exactly. It was the one with John Brennan from Kentucky, the country singer, and trying to think who else the fuck was on that one. I don't know.
Oh goodness, that one, man. That's going.
I must remember the country guy because I related to him at the time because I had just moved back to the South. I had been living in Chicago prior to that. And it had an interesting experience because, fish out of water kind of shit, So I was like, oh, well, I feel for this guy because he's living in New York or wherever it was. I don't remember where. No, season 2. Yeah, it was in New York, I think.
Yes. Actually, I don't recognize, other than John Brennan, I don't recognize any of the other cast member names. No, season 2 was Los Angeles.
It's Los Angeles. All right. Venice.
Yeah, because the first one was New York.
It was actually Venice Beach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I don't know any of these people.
Okay. Shit.
But I mean, it aired in 1993. So yes.
Oh, was it 93?
Yes.
So, but I watched it. Yeah, I want to say it was 95 was when I saw it, right?
Sure, which makes sense because they would do the marathons where they would show all of the seasons.
Yeah.
That they had.
I watched that one, and then I ended up the next weekend watching the marathon of the next one, and it basically ruined several weekends of my life there. And then I got caught up in it. Yeah, so that was my intro to reality TV, and then I remember watching. I think I watched the first season of Survivor. I started to watch the first season of the American version of what's that thing where they put a bunch of people in a house. Big Brother. Yeah.
Yes. My sister was a huge Big Brother fan. Yes. And season 2, yes, was the girl that had no pants on. Hey, here's what I'm telling you. If you're letting MTV film your every move, sometimes you might not have pants on.
Right.
I often don't have pants on.
I remember that because the guy who was roommates with John Brennan was a black guy who was a comedian. And he was the one who pulled the blanket off the bed.
Yes.
He got kicked out of the house for that incident. And then they'll have periodically they'll have the reunion shows where they bring everybody back and talk about it all and all that. And then I watched was it season 3, the one that had the guy named Puck.
Yes, I think that was 3.
Puck is a he's a imp or something, I think, and he's from a Shakespeare play.
Yeah, he's a Shakespearean character, except this guy's not. He's just kind of an asshole.
But he lives up to his name because he's impish. and full of mischief. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I remember about that. I don't know. Like I wasted time on it and then I've forgotten it all because it was that
Well, that's what that stuff is.
Yeah. So that's my intro. Oh, and then like I said, I watched the first season of Survivor, and I remember shit. I don't know. I remember hating the guy who won, but in retrospect, I don't really give a damn one way or the other. I guess
everybody did at the time, and also nobody remembers who he is now. So
right.
That's kind of how the genre works.
Yeah, like you're riled up and then you forget.
Yeah.
The other big thing I really got wrapped up in, if you want to call it reality TV, and we talked about like what is reality TV. I don't know, but American Idol for a while. I got so wrapped up in whatever season it was. It was Clay Aiken and Ruben Studdard. That whole thing is, you know what it was. So my kid had just been born. And when you're a new parent, you're not going anywhere for a while. You like there was a period there for about 3 or 4 years where people were like, "Hey, did you see Lord of the Rings?" And I'm like, "When the fuck am I going to see goddamn Lord of the Rings? Like the fuck, I ain't got time for that shit. I can't get out of the house, you know." But I could watch TV, so I was very wrapped up in American Idol when my child was new because it was a thing I could actually fucking do, and it gave me something to distract me, I guess.
Right.
I remember watching that religiously and being very caught up in it and giving a shit, which is funny though, because I think while I didn't watch I want to say that was also the second or third season.
Clay Aiken, yeah, I can't, I should have done more research before the show.
Yes. I think it was the second season. First season, I want to say that was when Kelly
Clarkson won the first season.
And she's like one of the few people who's actually gone on to have a fucking career, right? Like nobody else really mattered after that. Like the whole thing's been sort of bullshit since then, as far as star making, you know.
Yes, and yes, Clay Aiken was in the second season.
You're better off, actually. I figured this out. There's a formula, and you're better off on American Idol if you finish in the top 5. But you don't want to win, because if you win, you get stuck with one of their lousy contracts.
Right, exactly.
If you get like in the top 5, you created enough buzz behind your name to go out and pursue your own shit. You know.
Yep, absolutely. No, that's absolutely true.
Was it Daughtry?
Chris Daughtry, yeah.
He was the one who managed to take that angle and roll with it, right? Like get just enough up there and then duck out.
Right, and like Adam Lambert, right? Like he
yeah.
And now he's the freaking lead singer of Queen, because that's how you get that. Yeah, Jennifer Hudson. Yeah, there are a lot of great examples of breakout stars who were not winners.
You don't want to fucking win American Idol, because that's the kiss of goddamn death, except for Kelly Clarkson.
Right. And she got out from under it. Though I remember there being horror stories about her contract, and it was terrible, and she had all these problems, but it's been long enough and she got out from under it that she doesn't need to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
So I have to say, so specifically related to, like, I think the Real World kind of kicked off this sort of voyeuristic reality TV show genre that we have. Like, you know, the first few seasons were literally just, let's throw a bunch of people in a room and see what happens, or in a house and see what happens. After a while, they started getting into, well, what if we make them work together? Or what if we make them do this? Or what if we make them do that?
What if we create more drama?
Yeah, exactly. How to do that. But specifically, I remember, and it was, I believe it was 1998. It was the year after I graduated from college. And I moved into this duplex with Matt. Matt and I lived upstairs, and his brother and his old best friend lived downstairs.
And then they put a camera in the corner of the house? What happened when things stopped being nice?
Started getting real. No, but that was the year of Real World Seattle, where there was a lot of drama on that season. And it was appointment television, because obviously it was well before, like, I mean, if we wanted to watch it later, we had to physically put a tape in the VCR and record it. So we would get together, all of us would get together and watch it. Now, specifically that season, I remember very well.
Okay.
And I do remember the first season of Survivor, because it was kind of new and interesting. And the first time, like, you took reality TV and then stuck them on an island to try to literally survive, even though they really didn't need to survive. I mean, they weren't going to die. And,
yeah. It would have been more fun if they'd actually, like, had, like, sort of a Lord of the Flies sort of situation, right? Where they really clicked up and decided to kill somebody.
Exactly. Which is what I don't think they were expecting when Richard Hatch was, the reason he won wasn't because he was the, survival of the fittest. He won because he made a bunch of alliances with people until he convinced everybody else to vote everybody else off the island. So he was the last one.
Machiavellian in his, which was what made him hateable at the time. But then after he won, like, it turns out he, like, gave all the fucking money to charity or some shit.
Yeah, then I think he had some tax issues at some point. So
yeah, something else happened. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the fuck. And he win, like, also he won a Pontiac Aztek, which then was funny because then that became such a joke of the car.
Right.
They used it to show that this was how Walter White, like, how far he had fallen,
exactly.
This piece of shit. So yeah. Oh, and he
exactly.
went to jail too. So this thing is like basically it's like winning the lotto. It's more of a curse than a blessing.
Exactly. But I remember that specifically because when that came out, we had just bought our first house, so it would have been like 2000 when that came out, something like that. Mm-hmm. And we hosted Survivor parties because, again, you couldn't just binge watch things later. You had to watch them at the time they aired, unless you physically put a recording, in the VCR. But so, like, we had people over and we would have Survivor parties to watch it. That was how crazy we were with that.
Yeah. And did you like vote like which members of the people who came over would get to use salt on their food or? As I recall, that was like a thing. One week, the thing was like, this group of people like got spices.
Yes, exactly. No, but I have always wanted, this is semi-related. I've always wanted to have like a, so Chopped, which, it's a Food Network show, right? But, it's where they give a bunch of real chefs terrible ingredients and tell them to make food. I've always wanted to host a Chopped party where I invite a few people over and like, I'm like, here's a lobster tail, some ice cream, cumin and lettuce. Make me dinner.
Yeah. Can I want to talk about that for a second. So my ex-in-laws used to do a lot of games like role-playing type games, and anyway, one of the things they did one time was they hosted a game, and it was kind of like Iron Chef. They bought a bunch of ingredients. The thing was, you got to spin, and the teams got to like say the other team has to have this ingredient or can't have that ingredient, blah blah blah. And at the end of the night, what really happened was we wasted $300 worth of groceries, and we made nothing edible on either side. So it was kind of fucking lousy in a way. Like I don't know. Like, it sounds like a good idea, but
but it is not.
Yeah, it is not.
All right. Let's take a quick station break here and talk about a friend that has a business, because that's what our station breaks are.
Sure.
So here's one this week. Let's go with Radiant Paws Pet Massage. You know what makes reality television shows better is when they have pets. 100%.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that. So anyway, if you have a dog and you live in Southeast Michigan and you want to get your dog super pampered with pet massage, check out Radiant Paws Pet Massage and spend some money on your pet. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into some more hot reality show action. All right. So here's what we got. We talked about the OG. Like, the OG reality shows really were like The Real World and Survivor and those. And Survivor's still going on. And heck, I think The Real World is too, because literally no one knows when to stop anymore.
Right.
I mean, I have not watched Survivor in forever, but I just saw it.
Still going? Yeah. And I feel like what The Amazing Race was that like a spinoff of Survivor, kind of, sort of, or just
no, not a spinoff, more of a competitor.
Okay.
And I freaking love The Amazing Race.
Okay.
I'll still watch it.
Never watched Amazing Race because I didn't feel like I had time for that much of this kind of thing in my life. I will say about the time Amazing Race became huge, and I think also about the time Keeping Up with Kardashians became a big thing.
Right.
It was about the time I sort of got like burned out on reality TV and started thinking, boy, I sure wish people would start scripting something again. Was this all due to the writers' strike of the whenever the fuck it was?
As it turned out, no. I think a bunch of TV producers just realized they could make extra money by not doing a lot of work.
By not paying writers.
Yeah, exactly. Although we talked about this before the show, it's the fallacy of the reality show because, like especially those trash TV shows, they're completely scripted.
Yeah, it's all horseshit, or it's clever editing, like where they edit it in a way to make it seem more dramatic. Like, turns out, Snoop Dogg and his old lady maybe aren't really that mad at each other, but they, but they're gonna like make it seem like they are by clever editing, and it's sort of it's funny, and I think that to get to that, I want to segue for a minute because then TLC and some of the other channels like that,
Discovery, yes.
They took all this stuff and kind of ran with it for a minute, and maybe they still are a little bit.
They are.
Yeah. But the also HGTV. I watched a lot of Trading Spaces, which it's funny. I was very into this prior to owning a house. I was like, wow, because you watch HGTV when you're not a homeowner, and you watch it and you think, oh, I want a house just to be able to do this and that to it. Get a house, and you're like, I ain't got time for that nonsense. I don't want to bother with all these projects, But I remember like longingly, oh my God, I would love to do, but Trading Spaces. I fucking love Trading Spaces because of some of it was personalities, like the designers.
Right. I agree.
Did you have a favorite designer?
Well, the first name that came to mind when you said that was Frank, but I think that might be because he recently passed away. So
which one was Frank?
Frank was the old guy. He was old.
Oh, the guy from Santa Claus?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. So Frank would talk about his wife sometimes, and I'm like, Frank has a wife? Like,
yeah,
sure
Frank, he did.
He was very effeminate, and his decor style was very cutesy country, right? Like it was like 1986 Southern Living. That was his decor style. I did not like Frank. I mean, I thought he was interesting to watch, but I didn't like him.
I think that's what that was the first name that came to mind. I don't know that I truly loved any of them. Because if any of them did anything in my house, I would have been like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, Vern was both interesting and he was a good designer.
True.
Also, the other guy, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy he was like a
Doug,
yes. He looked like a Jon Stewart. Yeah, he was like a Silver Fox douchey kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good designer. Hildy, which I saw Amy mention. I loved Hildy. Not her design. I thought she was a gorgeous woman. I would watch her and go, this lady is hot as fuck. I love her. But her designs were cuckoo pants off the wall. Like, I remember one time she went into a bathroom and she stapled like 1,000 fucking fake flowers to the wall.
Yes, I remember that. Like, how the fuck do you clean that?
That's what I was like. And I was like in a fucking bathroom, this shit's going to be in 2 weeks. This shit's going to be covered in toilet paper fibers and talcum powder,
Exactly.
I would not let her do. Is let her glue hay to the wall a euphemism for something? I totally would. I thought she was so hot. I loved Hildy from you know, yeah, like she's cute standpoint, but she was the worst. Like everything she did was fucking terrible. I would laugh. I would be like, my God, I can't believe these like this. She was the one where these people were going to come in and cry later when they see it, you know. That show though. Oh my God, like so much fucking good times from watching that show.
Yeah, you know, that's like those, and I want to circle back to that in a second. But I do want to mention real quick because I think Trading Spaces was kind of a precursor to some modern TV shows, but it was very much ahead of its time. It was mostly a feel-good show, except for when people cried because there was hay glued to their wall. But so I do specifically want to mention which HGTV specifically. Like a lot of people are really into like the house hunter shows, you know, like, oh, you know, I train hamsters for a living and I sharpen pencils and our budget is $7 million. Like,
right.
But those are, talk about scripted. Those are not even scripted. Like the person, the couple that is showcased, they've already bought a home. That will be the home that they choose at the end of the episode. And then you just get to randomly tour other homes for the privilege of being on the show, and then they talk about how they
create drama, right? Like they actually ask you, like, find something to fight about here.
Yes.
And here's the thing: I think we both know somebody personally who's been involved in this kind of reality TV, who's told us personally, like, this is horseshit. Yes. This is all scripted nonsense.
Yes.
You know somebody who was on a tiny house program.
Tiny House Hunters. So the tiny house version of House Hunters.
Right.
Where she built a house. She built an incredible house. She's the tiny house community is, no pun intended, small. So I know a lot of the tiny house people. And she built this amazing house. And it was like, she built it in Savannah. And she did the painting like the Victorian painted ladies' houses. So the house was like lavender with pink trim. And, you know, like it was meant to look very specifically like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she toured, and one of the houses she toured was built by another friend of mine. So I knew it wasn't her house because it wasn't the one she built. And then so she tours these houses and she walks into her own house. Like, and I know she built this house. She built it herself, picked out every color. She goes to walk into it and she goes, who would pick these colors for a house? But you would pick those colors for your house.
Right. So my brother-in-law was a support person on a show. I don't remember what the fucking show was called now. Something like some kind of like hillbilly ingenuity sort of show where they, I don't remember which channel it was even on, but it was about these, you know, supposed hillbillies who would, you know, rig up some crazy shit with like, you know, like make these Rube Goldberg type machines or something.
Yes.
And he was one of so he's basically like a handyman, and he does like a lot of, you know, home repairs and whatnot. And he also does a lot of backstage stuff mostly. This is what his actual job is. Usually he works as a stagehand around at like Pisgah and other salvage station and places in Asheville, you know, does stagehand shit, you know, and light carpentry. And he somehow or another got roped into this whole thing. And he told me that the whole thing was, just like a bunch of, like, because they would get in these fights and shit that were like completely scripted nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. I actually forgot. We had other friends that were on Tiny House Nation, which was like the big tiny house show where they would build a tiny house. And there was one episode where they totally fabricated drama, like the house was going to fall off its trailer. Like it was, and they made it out to be like, oh no, we have to save the house. But my friend who was on it, he was like, none of that happened. We just act like it was happening.
What we did was we let like 3 pounds of air out of the tires on one side.
Exactly. And then they had to go like put, you know, brakes under it to real quick balance the house. And yeah, it was completely manufactured. So, but to trade, to the point of Trading Spaces, because I think you're onto something where it was just entertaining and fun and delightful, except for the people who had something weird done to their house. Actually, here's a funny story. Ironically, the same guy who was on the show where they manufactured, we actually watched him. We were there when he accidentally put a tiny house in a ditch.
So then it was actually unbalanced for real.
It was, yes, and it went directly into a ditch. Unfortunately, that time it wasn't being filmed for national television.
And so I'm sorry, when it went into a ditch, it actually did it flop over?
It came close. We did not. It did not happen. It just got stuck. So like the wheel on the one side went into the ditch, and it just got itself stuck. And we tried real hard to get it out, and we had to have somebody with a tractor come pull it out. It was a huge tiny house too. I mean, huge tiny house, but pretty enormous. Yeah,
it was 300 square feet.
I don't think that's too far. So the point of the trading spaces, exactly, it is. It's enormous. So the trading spaces thing, I think, gave rise to what I call the feel-good reality shows right now, like Great British Baking Show. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just a bunch of affable British people who just want to bake, and they're adorable, and they love each other, even though they're competing against each other, they just really want each other to succeed.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of shows like that too. There's another British show called The Great Pottery Show Throwdown, which is, you know, it's the same concept but pottery. And there's an American show that's hosted by Nick Offerman and Amy Poehler called Making It.
Oh yeah, the craft show, yeah.
Yes.
And then there's the Lego show with Will Arnett.
Yes.
You build shit out of Legos. I watched like one whole episode of that one time, and then I was like, eh.
Yeah, I've been in a room when it's been on, but I have not otherwise watched it. Like
yeah,
I love
Will Arnett and I love Legos, but I don't love that shit.
Yeah. I was somewhere. I was where was I? I was like at a bar or something. And I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, it's a Lego show. So, I did want to mention, so as far as OG shows, there was an old, it was actually PBS. So I guess it's its own level of.
Oh God, PBS. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember the colonizing show or whatever?
Yes, Frontier House. Do you remember Frontier House?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. There was the one episode. I don't remember. I don't know how many seasons that went, but I remember the one season where they had some dude and he was trying to run the whole thing like with old school fucking Pilgrim values, and then there was one like woman in the group who was like, I ain't having this shit. Like I'm a feminist and this is horse shit and I'm not doing it, And
right, we were told to survive. We weren't told to reenact.
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't need to reenact this.
Yeah, but this guy came into it with like the seriousness of like I'm gonna we're gonna do these pilgrim values and
right
and pray every 5 hours about this shit and whatever, and I'm going to make you wear a scarlet A.
Exactly. There was an episode of Frontier House, and which came out, I looked it up, it was 2002. So it was a long freaking time ago. There was an episode of Frontier House where they had a pig, and they raised the pig, and the pig was going to get eaten. That was the point of the pig. And they were going to have this big, at the end of the series, they're going to have a big neighborhood town party, whatever you call it. So they were going to, harvest the pig like you were. And I this actually to this day, it kind of fucked me up. This pig, his kids loved the pig. The pig was named Jojo Pumpkin, and the kids loved the pig. That's the problem. You named the pig. I remember the episode where they were dispatching Jojo Pumpkin, and because pigs are fucking smart. They're really freaking smart. And he walks over to the pen, and he calls him and he says, "Come here, Jojo Pumpkin." And Jojo Pumpkin looks up and comes trotting over, and then they cut, and then you hear the gunshot. And I was like, what? Not Jojo Pumpkin.
Yeah.
That was 2002. I am still
the classic dilemma of you don't name your meat, man. That's a thing you just don't fucking do. It's and pigs, you're right. They're smart. I heard a tale one time about a pig who was so clever, he convinced a fucking spider to billboards in the barn what a great pig he was.
Yeah.
And then people couldn't kill. They were like, fuck, I can't kill this fucking pig, man. This spiderweb here says he's a great pig.
Yeah, that's how smart pigs are.
Yeah.
Legit. That's a legit stats.
Oh man, I heard another story about some pigs who were so clever they took over the entire fucking barnyard. Took the people out.
Yes, because 4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
Yeah, and then it was a case of meet the new boss, same as the old boss, and they just basically like they fucked everybody over and started acting like people.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
crazy.
The moral of that.
Those pigs, man. Fucking pigs.
Yeah, just don't name them, man. Just
don't ever give them a fucking name.
Name them.
Just call them Bacon and leave it at that. I'm
still messed up from the death of JoJo Pumpkin, though. To this day, I'm messed up from that.
JoJo Pumpkin.
JoJo Pumpkin. I pour a little out for JoJo Pumpkin.
I would, but I'm in a room that's not my house, and
yeah, no, I would too, but I'm at my desk and I don't want to make a mess. Don't want to do that. Let's see. What do we got? What else we got? All right. Oh, I did also. So I genuinely like reality television. Like right now, I have a free trial of Paramount Plus. So it lasts until Friday. So I'm challenging myself to watch the entire RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star season 6.
Oh, yeah, those kinds of things. I didn't think about those competitions. I have watched, I think, a season of RuPaul, and then I've watched, what was the one? It was like body painting or something.
Yes, the Skin Wars, Skin something. Yes,
yeah,
RuPaul also hosted that.
Not the one I watched, but anyway, I've watched
Glow Up,
and I've watched some of the tattoo one like that.
Yes,
Ink, maybe, I don't know, or one of the other ones. There's like 5 of them,
but they're actually like they're competitions within a reality show.
Yeah, like a competition.
Eventually, there's a winner.
Sure. Yeah, what you said. I've watched a lot of that shit too, and then. I actually watched a little bit. I did go through a period where I did enjoy those. There were some garage reality shows about building hot rods and building bikes and shit, and there was that guy, that Sandra Bullock was married to who turned out to be a Nazi.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Or Jesse James, was it?
Yeah, seems like that might have been his name. Yeah.
Seems like it would be the name of that kind of guy.
Right. And then there was
yes, there was a cosplay one on. Yeah,
I never saw the cosplay one because I think as soon as it aired, the cosplay community vehemently, like, I think people who were involved in it came out and like immediately were like, "This is horseshit. Don't watch it. Like, what a farce," And so I was like, okay, I never watched it for that reason. Although I was immediately interested that there was such a thing, but then
I did. Well, I watched a season of it.
Did you?
Yeah. And it was, I mean, they were competing at like, major conventions like San Diego Comic-Con and stuff, but
I mean, in all fairness, I kind of have that like the competition part of cosplay is not something I'm really interested in anyway, because like
right. Yaya Han did
it's not for competitions.
Right. Yes. No, and I agree with that. I agree that is not my MO for it at all.
Right.
So I did want to mention a show. If anybody is interested in classic reality TV, the seasons of it have just landed on Netflix a month or so ago. The Mole. If you're not familiar with The Mole, I suggest watching it. I watched it the first time around. It was a reality show kind of like The Amazing Race that was hosted by Anderson Cooper, a baby Anderson Cooper, because it was a long time ago.
Wow.
But it wasn't like The Amazing Race where they were literally a race around the world. There was one person, and you didn't know who it was, that was the mole. They were working for the show, and they were trying to sabotage all the games and things. And I loved it when it first came out. I thought this was the greatest thing. I would do this. This is the one reality show I would be on. I just rewatched it. And holy shit, it's actually just a bunch of psychological torture. Like these people, these human beings are actually under physical torture. And I was like, holy crap, why was this on television?
This reminds me of this segues into another thing. There was this reality show that came on for a while, and it was this narcissistic asshole who ran a supposed company, but it's mostly a tax dodge, I think. And turns out the whole thing was just a way to get himself on TV.
Yeah.
And then he like ran for office or something.
Oh my God, what was that? I don't know what it is, but that sounds awesome.
Oh God!
At the same time.
Yeah, no. Then he became president of the United States after that, and it was a terrible 4 years. It was the worst reality show ever.
Yes, I am familiar with that show. Now that you mention it, I know exactly what that show was. Yes.
Oh God.
I also watched, well, actually, I almost never watched the actual show, but I did watch the celebrity version of that show once. And Bret Michaels from Poison was on it, because Bret Michaels from Poison will be on all of the reality shows.
Yeah, I believe George Takei was also on it from me.
Yeah, he also tends to just, he'll do things because it's funny.
Right.
He will. Speaking of reality shows that Bret Michaels was on.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, he had his own, right? Rocket to Love or whatever it was called.
Okay.
Rocket Love.
I was curious. I thought he had a love one.
He did, yeah.
Oh my God. I watched.
There it is. We can talk about Rock of Love because that's what we're talking about right now.
No. Well, I watched the one. Back up a sec. Because I saw the show that was the segue into that, which was, there was a season of, what was the show that used to come on VH1? It was where they mix up a bunch of celebrities.
Crap. What was that called? Yes, I was obsessed with that show too. It was it was like Big Brother, but they put a bunch of celebrities in. Vern Troyer was on it one time.
Yeah.
And Bret Michaels.
There was one where it was Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
And the lady who used to be married to Sylvester Stallone. What was her name? Brigitte Nielsen.
Yeah, Brigitte Nielsen. Yes, I remember. Yeah. Oh yeah, and they were like soulmates after that.
Yeah, and so then they made a show after that called Flavor of Love, which was about their relationship, and I think that's what led to Rock of Love, right? Because Flavor of Love was popular,
right?
Yeah,
and Rock of Love was basically, it was The Bachelor, but Bret Michaels was your prize. Like,
okay, yeah,
for some reason.
So
but he was also most famous
prize, if you will.
Yeah. He was recent. So another show that I'm also weirdly obsessed with right now, because it's just fun and funny and stupid, and I don't have to think about it when I watch it, is The Masked Singer.
Yeah.
Have you watched this? So like they get celebrities.
An episode or two. And you know what's funny about it? I wish I watched it more often, because my wife will point out to you that I'm the kind of person, I can hear a new song on the radio and I can usually tell
that
you.
That show was The Surreal Life, by the way.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes.
I did love I watched 2 or 3 seasons of The Surreal Life. I actually enjoyed that a lot.
I did too. I like that a lot.
I like has-beens B-list celebrities.
Yes. And then you force them to live in a mansion together and just do real world kind of shit. It's funny.
Fucking hell, man. Crazy. Who thought? Tammy Faye Baker and Ron Jeremy, friends now. But anyway, but yeah, she's dead and he's in jail, I guess.
Yeah, so as it works out. A lot of those celebrities are, Vern Troyer died. Like, there's a lot of.
It's tragic. It's a real life curse.
So The Masked Singer, now that's where a lot of celebrities go to.
Yeah, no. So what I was saying was, my wife will tell you if you ask her, that I'm the kind of person, I can hear a new song on the radio and I'll tell you exactly who the fuck that is, because I'm very good with voices, and I do the same thing. Like when I watch a cartoon, I'm like, that's the lady from Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. So
I watched the first season and I was that person. And in fact, I knew on the first episode that one of the performers, sorry, spoiler alert, but it was like 7 seasons ago, was Donny Osmond. And I heard him sing, and my sister is an insane Donny Osmond fan, like to this day.
Has been since 71.
Literally. And I texted her and I'm like, you have to watch The Masked Singer because I'm pretty sure this character is Donny Osmond. So she started watching it. And that season, I picked every single person, one after another. I knew all of them, including Donny Osmond, all of them. And then now I can't pick out any of the singers because most of them are people I don't know who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who that is.
I don't know. It's Lil Baby or something, I guess.
Exactly.
I'm making that up. Like, who the fuck is Lil Baby? I don't know.
I don't know. But yes, no, that's exactly what it is. But I still find it enjoyable. I'm like, I don't know why. It's just some people in funny costumes dancing. They're like in mascot costumes. They're dancing and they're singing, and it's just fun. It requires no mental output.
What's not to like, right?
It involves zero mental involvement. Like, I can just have it on. I can be doing something else. It's just there.
I think it, well, and I mean, I would say, honestly, that's the root of all reality TV, is it's the kind of TV that you can be doing something else so you can turn that shit on for noise.
Yes.
Like I said, like my to segue back to the beginning, I turned fucking Real World on because I was cleaning the house that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 episodes in, I was fucking reeled in, to this bullshit. And I had to watch the rest of the season to find out what happened.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's funny. The other day, when I said the other day, it was like a week or so ago. I was like, I have avoided it. And I know Amy, who's been commenting all this time, she's probably chomping at the bit to talk about it. She loves the fucking Bachelor. That's her jam.
Ah, the Bachelor. Yes, I do know.
So my stepdaughter was watching The Bachelor in Paradise the other day. She was, trying to catch up, and so she binge watched about 3 episodes in a row. And I was in the room, and I just wanted to fucking sit down on the couch for a minute because I had been doing something, and I was like, fuck it, whatever. I don't give a fuck what's on the TV. I don't care. It's fine. I'll sit here and watch this shit. Sure. So I sat and watched that shit, and it's dumb as fuck. But, is it mildly amusing? Yeah. I mean, but it's like what we were talking about earlier. It's also like faked a little bit because, like, obviously the producers are like pulling the strings to create drama, because it's like there'll be this couple and they're getting along splendidly, and they're like, hey, what if we drop one of these people's exes in the mix?
Right.
What happens? What happens if their ex suddenly appears on the island? Let's watch and find out.
Yeah, so one that I got totally addicted to during the pandemic, and I watched all of the seasons, was Married at First Sight. Here's one for you.
That is an interesting concept. And you know what it reminds me of? There was one I watched. This might have been a one-off actually, but there was Who Wants to Marry a Billionaire or something.
Yes, well, because that went poorly. Like,
yeah, because they got married and like they were divorced within a week. Like,
yeah, because it was super manipulative and like this. Because if I recall correctly, Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire? They was a fake millionaire. It was just like his name was Evan Marriott, but his name really wasn't Evan Marriott. But they made it out to be like he was the heir of the Marriott fortune, but he was just like a construction worker from Tennessee.
The Church of Latter-day Saints or something, right? Like,
yes,
it's not even owned by a person. It's like
exactly. So right. Oh, we never did that thing at DragonCon we were gonna do.
I know.
We got to do it next year. We got to plan ahead. Like, bring the decal to do it. We'll let y'all in on that joke in a year.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
We'll come back around to that.
But yeah, no. So it was so fake, and he wasn't even remotely a millionaire. And they wanted to see if like the woman would choose him for love and not his money. And then, but I mean, he literally, like, the network and he and everyone else were lying to the women the whole time. Right. So no wonder that didn't go well.
Yeah. And turns out actually, fraud, I believe, is one of the reasons you can annul a marriage.
Mm-hmm. As it turns out. Yeah, that one did not go well. But, so Love at First Sight, right? They have matchmaking, like a matchmaking team try to make these matches. And then the first time they see each other is at the altar. And they physically go through the marriage, and then they're documented for like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, something like that afterwards. And then some of them decide to stay married, and some of them decide to get a divorce.
What was the success rate?
I don't know the percentage, but there were a fair number. I mean, I've watched all the seasons. Each season so it started out with 3 couples, and then 4 couples, and then 5 couples, because they always have to outdo themselves every season. And every season there would be at least 2 couples that would stay together, at least. And many of them have stayed together, like have children, got, you know, they're in it for the long haul. So something about it's right. But on the other hand, it's a reality show, so there's cameras in their faces all the time. So a lot of it's very scripted.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I can see, but you know, I mean, I've read a lot about it, and I'm like, I feel like, you know, arranged marriages probably have a similar success rate, honestly, to hey, we're in love, because I mean, you know, love is just fucking chemicals and bullshit, you know, and you know, and so once that shit wears off, you're like, yeah. This is horseshit. Like I was fooled by my goddamn chemicals, you know.
Damn my chemicals. Well, that's why I suggest. Yes, I agree, and yes, a lot of people do work out. But and this is relationship advice. I genuinely admit, like, you should just like genuinely like your partner, because if you want to spend 26 years with them, you should like them as a person.
Like is more important than love, I would say.
Yeah, love is good. Love is a big part of it. You need to love each other.
Love is also nonsense. Chemicals.
But you need to genuinely like each other too.
You know, like you need to have equal amounts like and love.
Like you should want to spend time together.
Love is important at the beginning, I think, but
the bonding, you know, like like imprinting, like babies.
Yes, but after that, like there needs to be because that'll help you when love wears off, right?
Well, yeah, you just have to genuinely want to spend time with each other. Like we always get asked with the tiny house thing, like how do you live in a tiny house with another person? And I'm like, I just don't know how to answer that. Like I just I like to spend time with him. Like it's not like I don't understand. Like I just like him.
No, I mean because you I don't know if you ever like, and this is getting a little off topic, but not really. I mean, it's related. But I mean, I've had coworkers who, you know, like they come into work and they just like do this whole, you know, my wife routine, you know, like they're Borat, you know, and like,
yeah,
you know, and it's like, okay, I get it. You don't get along with your spouse. And it's like when at the point when you're doing that, you know, when you come to work and you vent about how shitty your spouse is, I'm like, y'all need to get divorced.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like this is a rocket science. If you are having that kind of reaction,
yeah,
you might want to be reevaluating.
When you're around other people, all you can do is talk shit about your spouse. It's time to leave your spouse.
Yes, that's relationship advice from Bill Has Opinions.
There you go.
All right, we have come to the end of the show, and I know we do not have a mailbag question, but we encourage people to send questions.
Right.
But we do have things that are extra this week.
Did we? Oh,
yes.
Did I say a thing?
Speeding ticket.
Oh, I got a speeding ticket last night. That's right. Yeah. Boy, what is your horseshit? You want to talk about drama for the sake of drama? That's all a speeding ticket is. It's like they don't give a fuck about fucking public safety, right? Because here's the thing. I got stopped in a small town in South Carolina. And I got stopped because I was driving a convertible. Not just because I was driving a convertible, because I was driving a car with a North Carolina tag. Like they would, if I'd have had a South Carolina tag, they'd have looked the other fucking way because I was going 6 miles over the fucking speed limit or whatever.
Yeah, but you're with the North Carolina tag, so they know you're not going to fight it because you're not going to deal with that.
Oh yeah, we're going to stick it to this fucking guy. Same thing. Like last time I got a ticket was probably in Virginia, like 2 decades ago or something. You know, and the same reason. It was because I was out of state, and they're like, "Fuck this guy." Like we're going to get him with something.
Last time I had a ticket too, I had a Georgia license plate in Michigan, and yeah, that was exactly it because they know you're not going to fight it. Like I'm not going back to Michigan to fight that.
Right? They tell you, they give you a date like 3 weeks later, and they're like, "Yeah, you're welcome to come down here and waste your goddamn time, or you can just pay this money." I'll say this: at least South Carolina has low expectations, and they only gave me a ticket for $128, so I'm gonna just fucking pay it. Yeah. But it's just, at the end of the day, let's be honest, it's revenue generation. It's not anything to do with public safety. They didn't keep a madman off the fucking road that night. All they did.
Well, I mean, we could argue that point.
Okay, yes, but no one ever else has bothered to. So let's be honest. I'm going to be going 90 miles an hour down the interstate tomorrow, and they're not going to do shit about it. But because I happen to drive through Pickens, South Carolina, FYI, don't drive through Pickens, South Carolina ever again, people.
That's fair. I will try to avoid it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's called Pickens. It sounds like, what always reminds me of Slim Pickens, which is the name of an old-timey country singer, but also sounds like, like there's nothing there worth a shit. And that's the truth.
That is fair.
That is fair. Yeah, there is fair. There is nothing there worth a shit. Don't go through Pickens, South Carolina, unless you want to acquire a moving violation, because that's all that you're going to get out of the situation.
All right.
There's my things that are extra for the evening.
And that is some good advice to live by. All right. So that's it for today. Why don't you take us away, Bill?
Yeah. Bill Has Opinions is engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions of Bill are his and his alone, unless Laura shook her head in agreement. We didn't watch a lot of the same reality shows, so I guess we didn't really agree on a lot of stuff. I mean, except for the couple things, trading spaces and whatnot. Anyhow, whatever. Oh, yeah. Our vendors, whatever they are, vendors.
Our friends don't pay us any money.
Yeah, who don't pay us a dime to be on here yet. If you want to pay us a dime to be on here, feel free to reach out. Anyway, yeah, they're not responsible for our opinions at all. So just overlook that shit. Get your dog massaged, though. Absolutely. Get your dog massaged.
Yeah, do that.
Your dog would love it. What else was it? Oh, yeah. And be sure to like and subscribe on the Facebook, or is that on? Yeah, it's on YouTube. Sorry. Be sure to follow us on YouTube. No, that's on Facebook. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Either way.
Like,
Facebook and YouTube.
Follow us. Do all the things. #Opinion Gang. Send us an email. Ask us a question. We don't give a goddamn. Whatever the fuck. Who cares? It's all drama. Let's create some drama.
Let's do that. And we will be back in a week with another episode for you.
The Ren Fair. We're going to
talk about Ren Fairs.
This time we know what we're talking about.
Because it is Ren Fair season in North Carolina. So we're going to talk about Ren Fairs.
Yeah, ye olde Ren Fair.
Ye olde indeed. All right, everybody. We'll see you in a week. Wait, I've got a comment before I do that.
Oh my God.
No, yeah, they were Pickens on you. I'm glad I went back to that comment.
That cop was totally Pickens on.
I'm glad I went back to that comment. All right, see you all in a week. Goodbye, everybody.